Hello, hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art, and it's Wednesday, and let's create. We're going to be looking this evening at one of the kits that's from the March April catalog, the final Close to My Heart catalog. And the kit we're going to be looking at is the Let's Go Anywhere card making workshop kit. Now, during the crop that we had at the beginning of the month, we looked at one of the projects from this kit that had a really interesting technique. It's used on this project and this project, creating a leather look with your cardstock. We're going to be looking at project number 2 from this kit. And so let's get started. And just so you know that there are still, as the website says, a few of these kits available. Just a few. Hey Joanne, nice to see you're watching. If you're joining me live, you can just say hello or howdy or any other comment and in the comments. And if you're watching later, you can say replay and drop line, say hello so I know who's been here. So with our card making workshop kits, you get all of the lovely instructions, full color. It gives you tips and tricks. It gives you the cutting guides for all the pieces of paper. You get all the bits and pieces that you need except for adhesive and foam tape and ink. And but all of that is laid out for you. So let me just scooch over to project number 2. And I'm just going to park it here on the side of the page. You can kind of see it there to the side as we create. And this kit makes 16 cards. There are 3 card designs that are standard size, one that's a slimline, and you get this lovely stamp and die cut set. So the thin cuts come along with it. And these thin cuts make either a compass or a clock, and the hands for the clock can be stamped. The center for the compass can be die cut. So you're going to see some of that as we work through this card. We're going to start off with our card base, and this comes pre-scored, and you're going to score it or crease it with the bump side of the score line to the inside of the card. You can use your bone folder or the handle of your scissors to crease that down. Just 1 second, I'm going to cough, sorry. Still coughing. It's getting much better, but still coughing. And this card is actually created on the horizontal, the landscape position. So we're going to have the fold at the top, the opening at the bottom. The first thing we want to do is we need to look at a couple of pieces that are listed here. And the first one is the piece of sapphire, piece number 2C. And this is our two-tone cardstock. We're using the dark side, but it's also got the white core. And what it says is to tear between 1/4 to 1/2 inch off one long side. So we're going to tear towards ourselves, the piece that we're taking away, and that's going to reveal that white core all the way along. If you want, you can save that scrappy bit for another project. So that's piece number 2C taken care of. Then piece 2E, which is a piece of French vanilla cardstock. We have several things that we need to do to this. So it says it's French vanilla, and we're going to use black pine, sapphire, and toffee. Lots of inks on one little piece of paper. The first tip is to sponge the edges with pine ink and over the sentiment with toffee ink. You're going to cut the wedges out of a round sponge. These were actually on sale in the clearance section. They are no longer available. They've sold out, but a very handy crafting tool. And you just cut it into 6 little wedges. Let me just grab a couple here so you can see. You just cut it with your scissors, cut it into wedges, and then you've got a lovely tool. So the first thing we need to do is we need to ink the edges in pine. So I've got my pine ink here, and we're just going to get some ink on our sponge, and we're going to go around the edges as much or as little of that edge inking as you want, all the way around. Quick and easy. There we go. And then the next part is also adding some toffee, whoops, in behind where the sentiment is going to go. And you can see here, our sentiment's going to be on the right-hand side, kind of in the middle. And so I've got my toffee ink. We might as well do it before we stamp the sentiment. Why not? So we've got our toffee ink, and all we're going to do is we're just going to kind of pounce like this. You can rub. I like to pounce just to add some modeling of color under that spot where the sentiment's going to go. Might even go a little further, just for funsies. So that's our toffee ink and our little round sponge. Then we want to stamp our sentiment. Now, if you take a look at this card, you'll see that it says, "You are my true north." Now, to me, that kind of means you're giving a card to your special someone, your significant other, right? You're calling somebody your true north. So in my mind, because this actually makes 4 cards, I probably only need one that says, "You are my true north." So when I created the other cards, I used an alternative sentiment from the set. And we've got "Let's explore together," "It's time we celebrate you," and "So glad we found each other." So I have actually done my other 3 cards already using the sentiment, "So glad we found each other," because I think that's a really good sentiment for a friend. And so you can send it to many people. And so that's my little tip to you, is you probably are only going to be stamping this on a card once. You can use it on lots of layouts and things. But there's probably only one person you would consider your true north. In my mind. Maybe not. Maybe you have a few. Hey, Heather, nice to see you're watching. So I'm going to stamp with the true north one, because all my other ones I did the other sentiment. And I'm going to use the intense black for this. Doesn't need to be the intense black, but that's what I have. And again, we're going to stamp it over towards the right, kind of centered from top to bottom, and where that toffee shading is. And then the last little bit of stamping we want to do on here is this little trail behind the shooting star. And so I've got my sapphire ink, and I've got that little stamp loaded up there. Make sure I didn't get sapphire ink everywhere. And let me just use this as a guide. We're going to go ahead and stamp that kind of under the word north. Now you want to be careful when you're stamping down with a stamp like this. I know my block is very dirty. Just ignore that. Where it's just little stitch lines, because if you push too hard, those little tiny stitch lines will just smooch over onto their side a little bit and make a smudgy look. And you may not want that when you're stamping a nice little stitch line. So I tried to be careful. I did get a little smudgy there, but it's okay. It's okay. So there's our 2 preparation things that we needed to do, and then we can move on to the assembly. So it said to prepare the pieces shown above. Then we're going to attach 2A, which is this lovely piece of the green sort of aerial view of roads and fields. Nice little mappy kind of look. And let's put some adhesive on there. And although I am creating this as a landscape card, I'm going to actually turn it this way to apply this piece of paper. Because you know me, I like to use my fingertips just on the edge, and then put this at a 45-degree angle and slide it towards my fingertips till it lines up, making sure it lines up top and bottom, and then lay it down. And that helps me get everything lined up lovely on my card base. Then we're going to come in with 2B, which is this piece of the passport paper. Look at all those lovely colored passports on there. You want to make sure that you have the word passport going the right way up. It makes much more sense that way. And then we can just go ahead and adhere that to the bottom edge of our card. There we go. And for the bottom edge, I actually usually do this. I cut a 45-degree angle it, slide it towards the bottom, and then eyeball it. I don't know why. On the folded edge, I can't eyeball. I have to feel it with my fingers. On the open edge, sorry, hiccups. On the open edge, I eyeball it. It's weird. Then we're going to come in with our piece of torn paper, our sapphire. Just going to add some adhesive there. And this one we want to have our cut edge line up with the cut edge of our green paper. So we can just kind of shove it up to that and then lay it down, creating all those fun look of layers. Hey, Mom, nice to see you're watching. Then we want to attach piece 2D, which is a piece of shortbread, and it's been cut on the light side. This is the dark, this is the light. And we're going to attach this with some foam tape. So I have my foam tape here, and this is my mom's trick when you're cutting foam tape, especially not great foam tape. This is not great foam tape. It works, but it's not great. If you take your foam tape and fold it back on itself so that the backing paper is kind of against itself, and then snip like that, you're not going to get your scissors stuck in it. I know these are non-stick scissors, but eventually it gets a little bit stuck in there because of the depth of the foam tape and the fact that there's adhesive on either side of your blade. It just gets stuck. But if you fold the adhesive back, or the foam tape back, and then do that. It's my mom's trick. She's a smart one. And then you can go ahead and take the backing off. All the way along. Now there was a tip on here, and I probably didn't leave enough space, but it'll work. The tip was to, when you're putting the foam tape on, don't get too close to the top edge. And I probably got too close to the top edge, but that's life. We're going to tuck another piece of paper underneath. It'll still be okay. Because what happens is when I go to put this down, I won't stick it down too hard. I'm just going to set it down. And we're going to come about 1.5 inches from the bottom and equal from side to side. So I'm going to kind of leave it just setting there, because our next piece we're going to bring is this piece of scarlet, and we're going to add some adhesive on the back of this. And this is going to be kind of like if we were adding a little bits of washi tape or whatever. And so we can kind of lift that back up, and we're just going to tuck this in behind like that. And now we can stick down our foam tape. Then on top, we're going to add a piece of zip strip. Now this is a pretty little piece of toffee zip strip, and it has little tiny geotags. They look like Swiss dots, but they're geotags, so they've got a point on them. You want to make sure that point is pointing down in case anybody looks at it so closely enough that they see that they're geotags and that they're pointed the right direction. Do you think anybody will? Probably not. But if you want to be sure that they're the right way around, then go ahead and do that. And then we're going to wait a minute, because we don't stick this on yet. We're going to grab the piece that we have prepared ahead of time and stick this on first. I got ahead of myself because I stopped reading the instructions. Have you ever done that with a kit where you're reading the instructions, it's going along great, then you stop reading the instructions and you get ahead of yourself? Yes, it happens more times than I'd care to admit, but you know, that's life. We're going to center this piece on our shortbread like that, and then we can come in with our little zip strip here and just layer that up on top. Maybe a little bit lower. I've got it kind of far away from myself, so I can't see exactly where it's going, but there we go. There's our little zip strip. And then let me just check, make sure we're following. We're going to attach, tuck it behind, embellish with the zip strip, and then assemble and attach the compass accent as shown. Tip: attach the P2 sapphire cardstock compass rose with 3D foam tape. Okay, so we've got our pieces that have been cut. The pine has been cut using the base for the compass. Then we used French vanilla for the face of our compass. And then we have sapphire for the little directional rose that goes in the center. Now, details. These are kind of these details that it just depends on the kind of person you are, whether it matters to you. This face of the compass, my glue needs a second here to run down because it's almost empty. The face of the compass, there are little lines that have been embossed or cut into it with the die. And I like to make it so that the long lines, that there's a pair of long lines that are straight top and bottom, so that it's on there straight. And with the clock too. Okay, so you've got your straight lines, you know, north, south, east, west. Make sure I got those directions right. And then everything else falls in between. But this part, the little part, this is like the part that moves around and points towards north or whatever. We want to not necessarily have that straight. So in the example, they've got it a little kiltered like that. So we need to add that with a bit of foam tape. So this can sometimes get a little tricky because I got big foam tape, but you just cut yourself a little snippet of foam tape and stick it on the back. And so then you can decide if you want it straight on, if you want it crooked. I'm going to put mine a little crooked just to follow the directions. And then we're going to attach this onto our card. So if we take a look here, we can see that some of it is on this level part and some of it is up in the air because we put foam tape behind here. So I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape to the bottom. See, that little snippet we just cut off works perfectly. And then we can add some adhesive to the top and we can stick it on. So that keeps our little compass nice and level when we're applying it to our card. One of the reasons why I'm doing this card this evening, for those of you who maybe haven't been following along, I've been under the weather, and as one of the lovely side effects of all the coughing that I've been doing, I managed to get an intercostal sprain in my entire right rib cage. And so I have a rotary paper trimmer, and it's quite large, and you have to reach, and then you have to push down, and then you have to, you know, pull the wheel back. And that motion, you know, putting pressure down and pulling back, has not been that comfortable. So today I remembered that I had already pre-cut everything for these cards, you know, and so I thought, I will do this card tonight, and lo and behold, it's still available on the website, just a few pieces left. So I thought, let's do this tonight. All right, now the last step is we want to add some embellishments from these wood grain die cuts. These are paperboard die cuts. So we're going to grab one of these large stars. Pardon me. Ouch. And a couple of these smaller stars. Just pop them right out. I like to kind of keep them in the bag like this, so if they fall out, then they kind of get trapped. And I'm not going to lose them before I need them for my cards. Now this first star, the large one, just going to add a little bit of glue on the back, like that. And we're going to actually tuck this right in behind, so it's just kind of poking up above that zip strip. And then these two little guys here, I'm actually going to put the glue right on my card. We're going to put a little dot there and stick one card, kind of like a little shooting star, from that nice little stitch line. And then we're also going to put one right in the center of our compass, like so. I'll line it up. There we go. And just double check. That is our completed card from the Let's Go Anywhere card making workshop kit. We started out with our provided base card. There's provided envelopes in the kit as well. We have our pattern papers and our torn cardstock. Then, of course, we've got our shortbread popped up with some foam tape to create some nice dimension on our card. We've also got our piece that we have inked the edges. We've also inked in behind the words to create kind of a lovely rustic look, which makes it kind of makes it a little bit more masculine. And then, of course, our lovely strips and this fun die cut that can either be used as like a pocket watch or a clock or as the compass. And then also our fun, and actually you could use this as a tag. You could use it as a Christmas ornament, lots of uses for that die. And then our fun little stars, adding those on for embellishment. I think that is super, super lovely card. And again, the other ones that I did, I used the sentiment, so glad we found each other, so that I didn't have to have all my cards saying, you are my true north, because I would only probably give this to my husband. And guess what? My anniversary is coming up in just a few days. And so 25 years. So I think this might be a lovely anniversary card for my hubby. Shh, don't tell him. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this project number 2 from the Let's Go Anywhere card making workshop kit come together, and still available. All right. There's just a few more days, 6 more days until all of the Close to My Heart makers retire. As of May the 1st, I will be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I just got my starter kit today with all the lovely things that I ordered. So we'll be diving into that during the crop that starts on May 2nd. All right. We will see you again soon. Toodaloo. Have a great night. Bye.